Welcome back, everybody, to the Fat Guys and Friends podcast. My name is Colton Bartholomew, your humble co-host here on the program. And with me, as always, is one of my good friends and co-host of this show and fellow fat man, Mr. Logan Wanger. Wang, how you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, Bart.
Good to hear. All right, everyone, we know we disappointed you skipping a week, but disappointing people is kind of what we do. It's kind of like a common theme in our lives, so
get used to it, people.
That's right, get used to it. But we had good reason. We'll start out with what we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a little something different. We're going to do a speed preview of the upcoming NFL week.
Copy that, Barstool.
Yeah, exactly, because Barstool stole our gimmick, which was a stolen gimmick to begin with. But we're going to do a little speed preview, give you a little things to watch for in the games coming up this weekend. And we'll talk about a couple of games from last weekend that kind of stuck on our minds throughout this week. And then we'll talk about the big news coming out of professional wrestling. TNA essentially bought out / new management, whatever you want to call it. But some big things happening there. But we'll get into that. But first, though, let's start by telling the people why we skipped a week. Mr. Wang, why don't you tell everybody what happened?
Well, I was conducting phone interviews for a job in Wausau, Wisconsin. I don't know if people know, but you live in Wisconsin, and I'm originally from Wisconsin. And I have a new, sparkly, full-time job up in Wausau.
Woo!
Exciting times. I've been working, I don't know if people know, I've been working part-time radio for over a year now, which seems insane, down in Springfield, Illinois, which was okay to start, but I mean, I don't want to work part-time for the rest of my life. And now I have a fancy, sparkly, 40-hour-a-week big kid job for the first time ever.
For sure. I'm sure the state of Wisconsin's happy to have you back, and I'm happy you're back closer, because Springfield's like 5 hours, 6 hours away. It's kind of a ways, but no, good stuff. So couldn't do the podcast, like we just didn't work out with my schedule, and you running up between states and doing all these interviews. But whatever, that's all done now. Wayne's got a new job. Good for him. Happy for him.
Hopefully we have an in-person podcast coming up soon.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get, and then hopefully a couple of friends will be around. Get a little live show action going.
Live and unfiltered.
Yeah. It'll eventually probably turn into us making fun of whoever else is there.
Yeah, that's true.
But all right, let's jump into some football here. Obviously, that's what we love to talk about. Last week saw some pretty exciting games. Saw some kind of crappy ones too. But Wayne, let's start with a game that I'm sure you were very excited to watch. Your Pittsburgh Steelers kind of threw everybody off their scent a couple of weeks ago, losing to Philadelphia, but then came back and gave Andy Reid and the Chiefs a good old pimp slap on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I was born in the year 1991, and I say I became a pretty big Pittsburgh Steelers fan when I was about 8-9 years old. So making it even year, we'll call it the year 2000. So since the year 2000, I've been, as big as fan as you can be when you're 9, but as you start growing up and become more and more of a fan, I started becoming a bigger and bigger fan, obviously. So much so that when I turned 18, I tattooed the fucking logo on my leg.
It's true. So I've seen it before.
I'm pretty invested. The Steelers lost to the Eagles. It'd be a week ago, or almost 2 weeks ago now. They lost 34-3. That was the worst beating that they've had since 1989. So in my life, I had never seen a Steelers game like that. And my friends want to say that I overreacted, that I was a big old baby, that I drank too much alcohol because of it. And to them, I say, fuck you, because I'd never seen anything like that.
What else are you supposed to do when your team loses? Be happy? Fuck them.
And it's not just a loss, because I will say I do overreact to the Steelers' loss, because, like I said, they're tattooed on my fucking leg. But I had never seen anything like that, let alone a rookie quarterback. And I understand the Steelers' defense is kind of in a transition, and their secondary is not great. But Carson Wentz made them look like a JV team. It was so upsetting. I turned it off in the third quarter. I was that mad. I walked across the street to the grocery store to get more alcohol because I was out of it in my house. It hurt. It hurt so bad. But to see him come back, I was expecting a dogfight of a game Sunday night, and it ended up being a fucking laugher.
It was over in the first quarter. Yeah. That was crazy.
When I say that I watched the worst beating of all time, I watched the best start of all time. Steelers put up 22 points in the first quarter. That's the most they've ever put up, ever. And they've been a franchise since 1933.
Oh, God.
So suck it, Andy Reid.
Yeah. That was one of those games where, the Chiefs' offense, the Chiefs' whole team really is set up to not let up the big play on either side and really just kind of plod the game out and eventually, hopefully come up with a play late in the game to win. And immediately the Steelers come out and score in quick succession, and it was just looks from the Chiefs sideline like, okay, we're done. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, and then it started raining like halfway through the game, and Andy Reid's just sitting there, big, fat, mad, and wet, which we can attest to. I don't like being any of those
not a good
things.
feeling.
Wet might be on the top of the list.
Just awful.
Yeah. There's a lot of surface area for Andy Reid, and to get it all wet can't be fun.
Exactly. We need to get Andy Reid on the podcast.
Just any other fat guys. I don't think we've even had another fat friend come on.
Not really. We're just...
Skinny
You don't make them like
bastard.
us, Wang.
No, sure don't.
But also wanted to talk about, very quickly, just because it was kind of a stinker of a game, the Denver Broncos staying undefeated, taking it to Tampa Bay. I was actually a little bit nervous since the game was on the road. Doug Martin not being available obviously hurt Tampa Bay, but Aqib Talib in his semi-homecoming gets a couple of picks in the first half, and really Denver's defense dominated the whole game. Paxton Lynch had to come in.
It looked good.
He did look good. I mean, the base of this offense is going to be running the ball, but when you got the skill position players like Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and you don't ask your quarterback to make a ton of difficult throws, they're not asked to do a ton. They're not asked to really win you the game. It's just don't fuck it up. And
exactly. And
we've got a lot of quarterbacks that cannot fuck it up, which is why we cut Mark Sanchez, because that's all he does.
I know I texted you this, and I know every other sports media bullshit is talking about it, but I agree. I think the Broncos should at least entertain the thought of selling high on Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, I know there's that thought out there, but I honestly don't think anybody that's been watching the Broncos looked at Siemian and was like, oh my gosh, this guy's great. I think it's more, hey, that guy is really good if you have an elite defense and can run the ball.
You don't think there's some dumb coach or GM or owner out there that'd be like, hey, we don't have a very good quarterback. I'll dangle a second-round pick out there for Trevor Siemian?
There might be, but clearly they haven't stepped up, because had that call happened, I'm sure Elway would have pulled that trigger.
Yeah, Elway would jump all over that. He was a seventh-round pick. But his stock is never, ever, ever going to be higher than it is right now. Unless he ends up being like a Hall of Famer.
Unless he continues it now. I mean, I think he's still the starter. I mean, there's still questions about his shoulder, but if he's healthy, I think he's a starter. Obviously, we'll get to it later with our preview, but a big test with the Falcons coming in. But what were some other games you went from last week that jumped out to you, Wang?
How about the Patriots getting shut out at home by Rex Ryan and the Bills, 16-0. Jacoby Brissett ends up having to play with his torn thumb ligament thing. I was really hoping that Julian Edelman would play quarterback just to see it. I thought it would have been fun, but that didn't happen. But how about, I mean, it's only 16 points, but it felt like a blowout. I don't know if you watched that game, but I watched it.
It was just one of those games where the Patriots couldn't do anything right. Like, even Steven Gostkowski, who's the best kicker in the NFL right now, outside of maybe Justin Tucker, but he missed like a 38-yarder or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just, from the jump, it was just not the Patriots' day. As much as the Patriots coaching can cover up a lot of mistakes and a lot of things that just aren't going right, you can't go against a Rex Ryan defense with Jacoby Brissett, who can't throw, and expect a ton of success. And you know what? I think that was just for football fans. The Patriots couldn't go 4-0 without Tom Brady. or else we would just have revolted.
But if you would have told Brady and the rest of the Patriots that you're going to go 3-1 without him, and you get him to come back to play the Browns, who haven't won a football game yet this year,
Sure.
I think they'd be pretty ecstatic about that.
Oh yeah, no, I know lots of Rational Pat fans, even though there aren't a ton of those, but the Rational Pats fans were hoping. They knew 3-1 was kind of the ceiling, even though they thought they were going to lose to Arizona as opposed to Buffalo. But
Exactly.
and to just kind of put a cap on this game, this was the first prediction that is definitely going to be wrong. That was in our preview podcasts.
Uh-oh.
Our boy Mikey C, he called the Patriots going undefeated. Not anymore.
I think we all saw an undefeated season not coming.
I don't care. I like him to be wrong.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic that he was wrong, but you can't argue with the fire and the passion that Mike had when he came on here.
No, he was ready. I saw him this weekend for his de facto bachelor party / Oktoberfest, and he was still angry.
Yeah. Speaking of predictions,
Yes.
I think you knew this was coming.
Yeah, here it goes. All right.
The Los Angeles Rams have already won the amount of games that you predicted for the entire season.
They sure have, Philip. Good
Yeah.
God. And the
Rams
worst
are
part
good.
about it is they're as bad. They look as bad in all the phases of the game that I knew they were going to be bad.
Yep.
That I predicted. But
Yep.
they just have won. They beat the Buccaneers because of a lightning delay and terrible coaching on both sides. And they beat the Cardinals because they've been a huge flop. And Carson Palmer gets hurt. Oh, the Rams upset me. They're the worst 3-1 team I've ever seen.
3-1 with wins over the Cardinals, who don't look very good, but also the Seahawks, who
Yeah,
look
and
like
Tampa.
one of the best teams in the NFC.
It's preposterous, man.
The Rams
Who
are
knows?
so
If they go
confusing.
0-12, though, I'm going to berate you on a later podcast.
As you should, but as long as they win one more game, you have to admit that you're wrong.
Fair enough. I will do that.
Perfect. Any other games that stood out?
Oh, man. You know, this is why we need to not skip weeks. It throws us off our game.
I know we're not very good at thinking on the fly.
Yeah. As little as prep as goes into this podcast, like, there is a certain amount that helps.
Yeah, the podcast goes, Bart texting me, hey, I'm done with work, want to do a podcast? And roughly 7 to 10 minutes later, I go, yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then I call Bart,
last quick
and now
one.
we're on the air.
What? It doesn't have to be about the game specifically. The Carolina Panthers lost to the Falcons 48-33, and Carolina fell to 1-3. Wayne, what in the hell is going on with the the Panthers? Here, you know what? Here's another prediction I was wrong. I said they were going 14-2.
Yeah, that can't happen either.
Nope. I'm a retard. What
Yeah,
can you do?
Not looking good for you. Their secondary is really, really bad, and if only they had like a really good corner that was on their team last year that could like lock down on a team's number one receiver.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, like if they had a really good corner, I feel like their defense would be a lot better. But they don't, and I don't know why.
It's almost like they had that guy and then they just let him go because they didn't like his attitude anymore.
like last year their defense was good and they had a really good corner, and now this year he's not there, and I'm
And they
like,
let up
what?
300 yards to a receiver on an opposing team.
Julio Jones is really, really, really good, and I don't even if they had Josh Norman, I think he at least gets 100 in a score on them. But I don't think they're going to get blown out the way they were. I mean, it was bad. It was 46-30 or 48-33. Like, when was the last time the Panthers defense gave up 48 points?
No, for sure. It was preposterous. And the fact that A.J. Green got 300 yards, at a certain point, when you just sell out on him and give up on everything else.
It's Julio Jones. It wasn't A.J. Green.
Oh, sorry, I said A.J. Green. My bad. Julio Jones.
Do you even watch football?
I don't know, man. I must not. A.J. Green had a nice game, though. He torched the Dolphins a week ago.
Yeah, it was almost a week ago. Actually, it's Thursday now, technically, so it was a week ago.
It was. All right, anything else?
No, I think that's the Vikings won again. I mean, we should say something about that. Odell Beckham Jr. is a big old baby. That's
He sure is, and he's not having fun playing football.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably it's probably, tough to get paid millions of dollars to not have fun, man.
It's got to be really hard when you're endorsed by Head and Shoulders too. So that means he had hella dandruff before. So I can understand why he'd be upset.
Well, I mean, with that haircut and the coloring of it, you got to keep it moisturized and conditioned well.
Yeah, but what a crock of shit saying I'm not having fun playing football anymore. You're one of the top 3 receivers in the league. Some would argue 2. I'm not going to put him at number 1 because of that whole tattoo thing I have. But he's easily in the top 2 or 3. Dude, you're having fun. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, for real. It's almost like you cannot sit there and be like, oh, I'm not having a good time because what? Because you're not winning? Well, how about you stop getting personal fouls and being a head case and maybe you'll win more?
Yeah, how about you not screw over your team by 15 yards almost every possession?
Exactly. All right, Wang, let's do it, man.
Okay.
We are going to do the first ever of this podcast, Speed Preview, and that begins now.
Cardinals visit the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. Bart.
Sunday Night Football, Thursday. Get your week straight, man.
All right. I don't...
Carson Palmer not making the trip. Definitely will be not the explosive offense that the Cardinals need to have with Drew Stanton in there. But the bigger issues with the Cardinals is they're not blocking anybody. Don't know if that's going to be enough for the 49ers to get a win, but Chip Kelly does have the 49ers offense at least scoring some points. They keep losing, but they do put points on the board. Next, now we're on to the Sunday games. Noon game, Patriots at the Browns. The return of Tom Brady. Wang.
Uh-oh. That's really it. Browns haven't won a football game yet. They're getting the return of Tom Brady, who I know the Pats' passing offense has struggled a little bit with Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett, but Tom Brady has the chemistry with Julian Edelman. He has the chemistry with Gronk, who I know is dealing with some injuries right now. He's going to propel that offense from a running offense to a passing offense real quick. They're going to hang half 100 on the Browns, and I just feel sorry.
Entirely possible. The Patriots are 10.5-point favorites on the road. It's one of the biggest road lines I've ever seen.
And I'm going to take the Patriots.
Yeah, no. Definite teaser game for anybody who likes to gamble out there. But next game we got the Eagles at the Lions.
Why would I go 2 in a row?
Right,
I say Eagles. Come on, man. Eagles, Lions, go.
Carson Wentz trying to go tear up that Lions defense that's just been awful so far this season and just is so beat up. They lost to the Bears last week. Yee. Philly is only laying 3 points here, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me, especially with the way their defense has been playing, only letting up 9 points a game so far. I see a big blowout here, unless Matt Stafford gets the score down in garbage time or something. But Eagles at the Lions could be an ugly one and fast. Bears at the Colts. Wang, go.
2 bad football teams meeting in Indianapolis. I don't think the Bears are very good. I mean, they've had the Jay Cutler injury. Don't know if Jay Cutler's going to play yet. It could be Brian Hoyer. Either way, their offense is garbage. Kevin White's hurt now. Andrew Luck has the least help in NFL history, maybe. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, hands down. And the Brian Grigson and Chuck Pagano and Jim Irsay just say, that's enough. We're not going to give him anything else. But Colts should win because they have Andrew Luck and they are at home. But Bears could shock the world. They beat the Lions last week and nobody saw that coming either. Dolphins host the Titans. We are not very good at this.
Man, we're not. Off week. All right. The Titans and the Dolphins, kind of a dog shit game too. Dolphins had 10 days to prepare for this one. Titans coming off a pretty close loss actually to Houston. If the Titans are going to be any good eventually, these are the games they're going to need to start winning because the Dolphins are not anybody's favorites in anything. They're not looking that great either. The only thing that you can say that's good for the Titans so far is that they've proven that they can stay in games, and Marcus Mariota has done some okay things. He still turns the ball over at key times, and I'm still not that big of a fan of him, but could be a tight one. especially when you just got two bad teams and who knows what the hell they're playing for right now.
Friend of the podcast, Joe Barnes, is getting awfully chippy about your talk about the Titans, just
well,
so you know.
They suck.
You hear that,
yeah,
Joe?
Redskins going to the Ravens. Wayne, go.
Two of the more confusing teams in the NFL right now, I'd say. Some people thought the Redskins could repeat winning the NFC East, and they've looked pretty bland so far. Ravens are one of the more surprising teams, I think, coming out 3-1. You know, they lost to the Raiders last week. It's, like I said, really confusing. I think the Redskins should win the game. They're probably the better team. I didn't see the start from the Ravens coming, but who knows? Texans visiting the undefeated Vikings.
Yeah, undefeated Vikings strictly on their defense. Sam Bradford's doing just enough to get them some points on the board, and the defense...
This sounds like another
Yes,
team.
I agree. I was just about to get to that.
Okay.
They look a lot like last year's Broncos. They're really proven that if you can do that formula, it's successful. Brock Osweiler and the Texans have won some games against the bad teams that they play. They beat the Bears, they beat the Titans, I don't remember who else, but they're not going to go into Minnesota and beat the Vikings. The Vikings have already beaten Green Bay and New York at home. I see no chance for Brock Osweiler going in there. I see that being actually a pretty big win because the Texans' offense, despite being 3-1, is not very good. Jets at your Steelers, Wang, go.
Quick story about this game. Friend of the podcast, Dylan McGuire, and I were planning on going to the game. There was one weekend the game couldn't fall on, and it happened to be another friend of the podcast wedding, Steven Tyler.
No.
So just a little fuck you to Stephen Jordan, but also congrats on the marriage and stuff. This is a game the Steelers would love to lose, coming off a huge win against a Chiefs team that is also very confusing. Jets look like hot garbage right now. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a turnover machine. The Steelers love to fall off after big wins. It feels like a loss, but that whole tattoo thing, I'm not going to say it's a loss. Steelers should win big on a bunch of turnovers from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Your Broncos host the upstart Falcons.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident in this one because the Falcons are a dome team. They play in the Georgia Dome down there. I don't see them coming out to Denver against that defense and getting things going. The Falcons' pass blocking is not great, and you got Von Miller on the other side. I just hope that we can, play a semblance of defense against Julio Jones. If he has more than 150 yards, I'd be kind of disappointed. But I see a big one for the Broncos actually, and I gotta say, I think they're the best team in the NFL. We'll get to that later, but Bengals at the Cowboys. Wayne, go.
Speaking of confusing teams, and for our gambling enthusiasts, the Cowboys opened as a favorite at home, and bettors quickly turned that shit around. And Cincinnati's now a 1-point favorite on the road. At some point, Dak Prescott is going to try and throw the ball more than he does, and at some point he's going to throw an interception, you would think. And I would assume it's going to be this week. The Bengals defense is very, very good. Bengals have been playing like poo a little bit, but they did just come off from a big win on Thursday. They have a lot of rest coming off the Thursday night game against the Dolphins. Feels like a game the Bengals should win. Your favorite team, the Los Angeles Rams, hosting the Buffalo Bills.
I hate this game because it's going to make me wrong. See, this is a classic Rex Ryan loss. Coming off a big win against the division rival, you're feeling good about yourself. You're coming off 2 wins, actually. They beat Arizona the week before that. And now you're going on to the Rams, who are offensively challenged and all this stuff. Everything's going your way. Nope. Rex Ryan's going to fuck this up. And the Rams are going to make me look bad. But moving on. Chargers at the Raiders.
Derek Carr might be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, that throw he made last week against the Ravens to beat him to Michael Crabtree was, oh my God, good. That Raiders offense looks really good. The Chargers are not very good. They've gotten out to big leads against the Chiefs and the Saints this year and blown them both in the fourth quarter or overtime. Sounds like it should be a blowout win for the Raiders. Sunday night football that I mentioned before, but I'm retarded. Packers hosting the Giants.
Giants coming off a tough loss to the Vikings. Packers off a bye. Packers got to figure out how to get some guys open in their offense when the receivers are overrated just because Aaron Rodgers makes them look better. Don't see a ton happening in the running game for either side. Could be actually a shootout, potentially, because neither secondary is that great so far. Got some injuries in both sides, really. We'll see if Odell Beckham makes some crazy play since it's a nationally televised game or, gets himself ejected. I see the Packers edging this one out. The line's 7.5, which I'm not entirely sure of just because I don't trust the Packers secondary. But I see the Packers winning this one maybe by 3 or 4. And Monday Night Football, Buccaneers at the Panthers. Wang.
Who predicted that the Bucs and Panthers would have the same record going into Week 5 on Monday Night Football?
Right.
Then not either one of us. This sounds like it should be a redemption game for the Panthers, who have looked like dog shit. But we don't know if Cam Newton's going to play because he's in concussion protocol. I say even if Derek Anderson plays, that offense should have enough weapons to get the job done. And Jameis Winston has proved if he faces even a little bit of a good defense that he's going to be turned into a turnover machine.
All right. There's your speed preview. We're going to see what you people like, if you like the previews or wrap-ups better. The wrap-ups are definitely easier. I can tell you that much.
Well, yeah.
But we'll see what happens there. Wang, should we do it now?
Yeah.
Listen to me, listen to me.
It's gonna be fun.
Generic NFL power rankings that everyone else is going to do, but you should listen to ours because we're smart.
All right. One of our favorite things to do every week. We stole this gimmick from SVP and Rosillo, and
R.I.P.
I honestly wish it was still them. But Wang, why don't you? We're gonna do it a little bit quicker today, just because we don't want the podcast to go on too long. But Wang, give the people your top 5 teams.
My number 5 team in the National Football League right now, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. I know some people think they should be higher because they are undefeated, but 2 of those wins have come against dog shit teams like the Browns and Bears. I know they did whip up on the Steelers pretty good, but I'm not going to overreact yet. Carson Wentz is pretty good, but we'll wait and see as the schedule gets a little harder. Right now, I have them at number 5. Are we going back and forth, or am I just giving all mine?
Give them all.
All right. Number 4, I'm going New England Patriots. I think people have them higher on their list as well. Tom Brady's coming back. They did enough, like we said in our previews, to come in at 3-1. Like we said, if you would have told Belichick and company be 3-1 before Tom Brady gets back, and you basically get a tune-up game for Tom Brady to come back, you would be ecstatic. I would assume they're going to shit all over the Browns. They'll probably be higher on the list next week, but as of right now, coming off a surprising loss, some would say, I have them at 4. Number 3, that whole tattoo thing's coming back to bite me. I'm going Pittsburgh Steelers, number 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm doing it. They looked really, really, really good. Some people think the Chiefs' defense is one of the better ones in the NFL, and I would agree. Ben Roethlisberger, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's one of like 6 quarterbacks in NFL history to have 5 touchdown plus games. I thought he was going to go for 6 just to be a dickhead, but Todd Haley wouldn't let him. Then, I don't know. Once they got Le'Veon Bell back, there's not a better trio in the league with Ben, Bell, and Brown. Killer bees, as they like to call them in Pittsburgh. It's fun.
Oh, man.
Yeah, what do you know? If that offense gets going, I don't know if there's a defensive football that's going to stop them. Number 2, I'm going Minnesota Vikings, who you mentioned they look a lot like last year's Broncos. Winning with defense and an offense that does enough. I don't know how they're undefeated, losing their starting quarterback in training camp and having Adrian Peterson tear his meniscus in game 2 of the season. Doesn't make sense to me, but they're doing it. That defense is really, really, really good. And when's the last time you thought of Sam Bradford as a competent quarterback in the NFL? I don't know. And number 1, as much as I hate saying it, you're defending Super Bowl champions, Denver Broncos. They don't lose.
No,
Even when
they
it
don't.
looks like they should lose, Trevor Siemian does enough, Paxton Lynch does enough. Their defense does more than enough. Their defense is really, really, really good. I'm going to say it every week that we do this, that they don't lose. I don't think they're going to lose for a while. even if it's Lynch, Simeon, it doesn't appear to matter with that defense. They do enough, and they don't give up points.
Oh, I love you, Wayne. We have actually the same 5 teams, just a little bit different order. I'm starting with the Philadelphia Eagles, same like you did. Lots of the same reasons. Still untested against a great team yet. We'll see, or excuse me, a great defense. We already mentioned the Steeler game. Looked good. Coming off a bye, they should be able to beat up on the Lions. Stick them at number 5, mostly on defense and Carson Wentz. And then I actually went with the Patriots at number 4. I'm not sure about their secondary, and they haven't had a big test of that secondary yet. But when they have had a little bit, Larry Fitzgerald had 2 touchdowns on him in week 1. And just, I'm not sure if, even with Tom Brady, when they get into some shootouts, obviously Brady always gives you the advantage in a shootout, but I don't know how well their defense and secondary is going to hold up. Then I would actually go with your Steelers at number 3. Lots of the same reasons you said. Especially with Le'Veon Bell back. He looked good. And that game kind of became a tune-up game, like you mentioned, with the Browns. They didn't have to... They used Le'Veon how they wanted to. They didn't have to use him any particular way, give him any big hits or anything like that. Minnesota Vikings number 2. The defense is too good right now. They're playing phenomenally on each level. And Sam Bradford's just not turning the ball over. And when you do that enough, and your defense actually creates some turnovers, you're going to give yourself enough possessions to win games. And then, number 1, my Denver Broncos. God, it feels so awesome for the second year in a row, or actually really the 5th year in a row, to have a Super Bowl contending team. Just because, you know, the way that the roster construction was, that this defense, even with losing Malik Jackson and Danny Trevathan, has only gotten worse a little bit in the run game, but the offense is scoring enough that the other team has to pass, and it just allows Von Miller to wreak some havoc. It's really fun to watch.
You're aware that you said we had a different order, and you listed the teams in the exact same order, right?
Did I?
Yeah. I was waiting for the different order to come, and once you got to number 3, I knew it wasn't coming.
My bad.
Yeah, I went Eagles, Patriots, Steelers, Vikings.
Oh, my bad. I thought I was flipping the Patriots and the Steelers.
No,
But I didn't.
you're just stupid.
Sure am.
Okay, so what are your 3 worst teams in the NFL?
All right, the 3 worst teams. This is just rough, man. It's like, I like doing this, but it's just mean.
Yeah.
You have to bury people, and I'm going to start with my 3rd to worst team, the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh.
I don't care how many points you score. They are going to have historically the worst defense ever for the 2nd year in a row if they keep up what they're doing. And there are all these rumors out there that, you know, Sean Payton's up for other jobs if they come open. And it's just like, you know, there are 2 sides to football. So you do have to, you know, stop the other team occasionally if you want to win games.
Nah, that's stupid.
Yeah, right.
It's outscoring.
Nobody needs to do that, right? My 31st ranked team, the Indianapolis Colts. My God. Like, I got up early Sunday after being super hungover from Oktoberfest and watched that game. Andrew Luck against not even a good pass rush in Jacksonville has 0 time. The secondary gets torched every which way. They don't rush the passer. You know, Bill Simmons tweeted this during the game, and I thought it was just genius. You know, Andrew Luck just got paid. So what have you been spending your salary cap on the last 4 years? Because there are 2 above average players at NFL level on that team outside of Luck, and that's T.Y. Hilton and Vontae Davis. Outside of them, everyone else is average to below average. I don't know how they got to the, you know, $150 million you have to spend in the NFL.
They're overpaying for somebody.
Right. So somebody has to get paid, but they're getting paid for nothing, apparently. And then, you know, worst team, the Cleveland Browns. It's just a talent discrepancy. That's a college team. I mean, obviously they would beat a college team if they played them, but that's a college-level team and playing in the NFL. And I will give them credit, though. They've been competitive, even with Cody Kessler out there. they were hanging in there with the Redskins till the very end with a pretty crucial turnover in the fourth quarter, but just not even a fair fight half the time for the Browns. Hopefully it gets better soon. But it probably won't because God hates Cleveland.
I'm going to say that I have a different order, and now I'm going to list different teams.
Oh, that's good.
That's how this works.
Thank you. Appreciate
My
that.
third worst team in the NFL, even though they're coming off of a win, Chicago Bears. They're not very good. No. Like we said, the Jay Cutler saga is continuing. Don't know if he's going to play. It's going to be Brian Hoyer. Kevin White is placed on IR. Defense isn't very good. Not a lot of weapons. The only positive thing they have going is Jordan Howard. Looks like he might be a decent NFL running back that they just stumbled upon. But other than that, I don't see things getting better for the Bears anytime soon. Second to worst team, I'm going San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people picked them to upset the Cowboys this week. Maybe I didn't see it coming because I'm smart, but they're not very good. It's the Blaine Gabbert experience hasn't worked, even though they hung 28 points on the most confusing team in the NFL, the Rams, in Week 1. Their offense struggles. Navarro Bowman's now out for the year with an Achilles injury. The defense is going to struggle because of that, because he was the only nameable player on that defense. Now I'm at a loss. Rough times in San Francisco, and the consensus worst team in the NFL, only one that hasn't won a game. Cleveland Browns. Just, you said it, God hates Cleveland. You got LeBron, so you don't get a good football team.
Nope. That's how it works. You had to make that trade. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta argue with you on this one.
Okay.
I would much rather be the 49ers than the Colts right now.
Yeah, but at least the Colts have the one position, the most important position in sports, figured out. That is, you can't argue that. Andrew Luck,
no, you're right there.
as bad as he's looked, it's not his fault. I know a lot of people love to rip Andrew Luck right now. He's got nothing. That offensive, you and I could start for the Indianapolis Colts right now, where we would at least be backups competing for jobs. We're big and we get in the way, and we can give him a half a second. That's all he needs right now, because
that's all he's
would
getting
be doing
anyway.
the exact same things. So
I will give you that. You give Andrew Luck at least a C roster, and you can maybe drag him to the playoffs, which he did his first couple of years in the NFL.
Exactly.
But then this roster outside of him is a D minus generously. But it's usually an F.
Yeah,
they're playing like an F.
I agree. Yeah, they're not good, but quarterback's the most important position in sports, and that's the one thing they do have figured out. Because would you rather have Blaine Gabbert and Colin Kaepernick?
No, fair point there. All right.
Yeah. Point me.
Point you. All right, that was our generic NFL power rankings that you'll hear everyone else, but you should listen to us because we're smart.
Beautiful name.
It's a really nice title when it's sped up. Kind of a mouthful.
Well, it rolls off the tongue better if you got to do some stuff to it. It's okay.
It is. Oh my God. Dang, I missed this.
Vince McMahon bought TNA.
Well, kind of. Vince McMahon bought TNA Library, which is even
the
more
only
impressive.
part that I cared about. We were texting about this the other night. If they put Impact Wrestling on the WWE Network or just old TNA pay-per-views, that's all I'm watching for 2 months. I won't even watch Raw and SmackDown live. I mean, I might DVR them and watch them, but I've been watching them live for most days. I'm not watching those live. I'm coming home from work. I'm going on the WWE Network, and I'm watching Samoa Joe and Beer Money and AJ Styles and Fortune and all the other cool stuff that was going on in TNA from like 2007 to 2010.
And that's not even to mention the fact that, the Sting, Scott Steiner, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Kurt Angle, yeah. To your point, I mean this is the master plan that Vince had for the WWE Network, that it was going to become like the definitive library of the best professional wrestling.
The wrestling encyclopedia, basically. Yeah,
and we're seeing more and more, like obviously the WCW archives are all on the WWE Network, and now they're bringing NWA TNA.
I don't think Vince likes NWA.
Yeah, right.
That's not for him.
They're bringing the TNA, and it's obviously going to help them because AJ Styles, the best TNA wrestler there ever was, is the champion on SmackDown. Have his collections and everything, all of his history in that promotion on the network.
Yeah,
And
just think of all the generic AJ Styles fans right now that know him basically from Japan and his little bit of work with WWE. They can watch his decade-long TNA career and become even bigger fans of him now.
For sure. And that's what I want to ask you, too. Do you think now that they have bought the library, they'll just acknowledge that TNA exists? Because they
so.
never, like you mentioned, they just mentioned Japan and then, quote, all around the world.
Yeah, the worst one ever was Sting. Because they talked about his WCW career, and that ended in 2001. And then Sting just sat at home for 15 years, and in 2016 decided, all right, I'll fight at WrestleMania now. No, he was at TNA doing some pretty cool stuff for 10-ish years of that. So now they'll finally acknowledge it. I mean, a bunch of WWE superstars went over there. Booker T was over there for a while. Kurt Angle was over there for a while. Scott Steiner, Christian. A lot of them jumped ship, and TNA was cool. I know it never gave WWE a real run for its money, but it was something else to watch. And it was different.
A different style, obviously a different ring, and just different. And sometimes just having a second option makes it, the novelty of it makes it interesting.
Exactly.
And then, Billy Corgan is going to run TNA now and supposedly rebrand it. Here's a thought, Mr. Corgan. Just give everything to Broken Matt.
Yeah.
Whatever title you have, whatever you want, just let Broken Matt do it.
He also wants to rename the company, which is really good because who hasn't just thought of tits and ass every time you hear TNA?
Well, that, and just it's now synonymous with failure because for those of you who don't know, this past Sunday they had a pay-per-view. Well, not even a pay-per-view, really, just their big event called Bound for Glory, and there was run-up stories for about 2 weeks that there wasn't enough money in the company to pay everybody to come to the show and even put the show on. And it took some mysterious benefactor to give them the money, or maybe help. Maybe it was a loan from McMahon for the archives. Maybe the sale has been finalized for a few days now, but
dude, that makes a lot of sense. Actually,
yeah. If they said, "Hey,"
that out loud.
Yeah. I just verbalized it, but that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
McMahon probably used all their money issues as leverage to get the archives for a cheaper price, and they used part of that money to make the show happen.
Yeah, and now Billy Corgan's just going to... It's basically going to be a new wrestling company, which what it needs to be. Because you would hit the nail on the head. It's just been associated with failure and mediocrity for so long. I can't tell you, since Broken Matt, before that, I couldn't tell you the last time I gave even a little bit of a shit about TNA.
No, yeah, I'm the same way. Never, until I started seeing the Broken Matt Hardy stuff, it was just like, oh yeah, that exists, but that's where guys that aren't even good enough for NXT go.
Exactly.
All right, Wang. That was a nice get back in the rhythm here. Sorry we sucked, everyone.
Yeah, it wasn't our best work by any means, but oh well.
Well, fuck you. It's free, so
yeah, and we don't get paid for this either.
No. If anyone wants to sponsor us, though, we will hype the shit out of whatever you want us to hype.
Oh,
and then we will also tarnish your competition.
Yeah. We'll take a big old steamy dump all over anything you don't like. And as long as you pay us enough money, your shit's the best shit we've ever seen.
Exactly.
We're not going to censor ourselves, though, because fuck that.
Also, Wang, just as a quick recap, Wang has a new job because he's a G. It's week 5 of the NFL, which is actually semi-depressing because that means that the season's a quarter over.
The NFL goes so quick. I feel like the NBA season drags on. The MLB season obviously drags on because they play 162 fucking games. Who cares about the NHL? But I feel like the NBA is just around forever. And college basketball's around forever. Even college football, even though they don't play as many games, just feels like it's around longer.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And then...
It's weird.
Yeah. I'm happy though
Well, yeah.
because football is the shit, and yeah, I didn't really have a point there. I just like football.
Hot take from Bart. I like football.
I like football. Gold star for me. Guys, it's 1:30 in the morning when Wayne and I are doing this, so forgive us our loopiness.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter, Fat Guys, capital N as in Nancy, Friends. Like us on Facebook, just search Fat Guys and Friends. Subscribe to us on iTunes. You can just search Fat Guys and Friends and we'll pop up right there. And you can download and subscribe. And you can leave reviews, which we would love to read. I'm sure
we would.
Many people have plenty of great things to say about us. And we can also be emailed at fatguysandfriends@gmail.com.
We will really try to be better next week.
Yeah, we need to do something. This wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. We appreciate you sticking it out for this 45 minutes.
Sorry.
Goodbye.